Hello, all you people. It is time to discuss the thing we have all been waiting for years and years and years. It finally has come out, and I have watched it at least twice. I need to watch it more. Anyway, Miraculous Awakening, the Jeremy Zag version of the origin story, Miraculous of Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. So, the movie. So I'm gonna just tell you, I never write notes for these review little things, those little reaction notes. I wrote notes. I have notes because this is a movie, so this is a lot different than just an episode or a finale or whatever. Like that's short. A movie is long, so I have written notes while I was watching it to make sure I talk about the things I want to talk about when it comes to the movie. So we're gonna start off with the very beginning, the intro sequence where Master Fu is explaining everything about, well, not everything, but a little bit about the miraculous and what they are. I have an issue already. He says that the butterfly miraculous is the most feared because it's used, because of its use in the evil world. Okay. All miraculous can be used wrong. That's the whole point. I know, and for you that don't know, this is a different canon set, so this is nothing like, ignore the fact as much as you can that the series as a whole exists, because it's a lot different. But that he says the butterfly is the most feared, I just have a small issue with that because the butterfly miraculous, while yes, it can create horrible monsters and whatever, can be used for good. And I would think that the miraculous of the cat would be much more terrifying. It is destruction. I mean, you would think, not knowing what Plague has done in the past from the show, you would still think, oh, destruction, that's pretty powerful. But no, somehow the butterfly one is the one. I don't get that. But whatever. Okay, so there you go. And that kind of also ignores the fact that it can be used for good by saying that it's the most feared one. I don't know. That just kind of bothered me a little bit. But moving on, let's see. Oh, yeah. So we got to talk about basically the elephant in the room. Christina V did not sing for Marinette. Why? I have no idea. I've heard rumors and ideas of like, oh, maybe there was a contract involved, or maybe Christina just didn't want to, or whatever. I have no idea. I'm tempted to ask, but I don't know that I would get a response. But Lou's voice, who does the voice for Marinette singing, beautiful. And when I'm just listening to the soundtrack, it's great. But when you put it in the context of the movie, and this is something I think everybody's been saying, it's jarring because it's so different. Some of the comments I've seen on this has said that, and I think this pretty much fits the bill, Lou's voice and singing is just too low. Marinette, and this is what my husband said, Marinette has, with Christina V, this like clumsy, high-pitched, like bit to her voice, where Lou's voice is very smooth, and it just doesn't quite fit the Marinette in English that we know and love. Now in French, I think it absolutely works if I remember correctly. But I haven't watched it in the French, so I don't know. But based on what I know from the French voice actor, if they use the same actors and actresses, from what I know of Marinette's French voice actress and from the show, it works much better than with Marinette in the English. That being said, Lou has an amazing voice. I really love her work. She should have come in every once in a while, not for Marinette. That's my thoughts about that. Also, just kind of outside and inside of the movie at the same time, just the the Volkswagen and watch sponsorships, which if you didn't know, they released a Volkswagen and a, I don't remember what the watches are called, but the watch that Marinette and Adrian wear throughout the movie, they released a couple of like advertisements for those products outside of the movie. Well, inside of the movie, we see the cars that they had advertised, played with Volkswagen about, and then they had also had they were wearing the watches the whole time, which I just found interesting. I don't know. It's not really anything crazy or world-ending, but it's just interesting to see. This was something else I noticed. So the voices, as far as I know, all the voices were played by the same character. All the characters were played by the same voice actors and actresses that they were in the show. There may have been some like little differences in here and there, but from what I could tell, they're pretty much the same. There were a few that sounded different, and that was Nuru, and weirdly, Chloe at first. I don't know what it was, but at the very beginning, I thought, is Chloe played by another person? I thought that it was, she was being played by the same person, but then, so basically, it sounded like somebody else until it didn't. I don't know what in the world happened there, but yeah, at the very beginning, Chloe's voice did not sound like the Chloe Bourgeois we've grown to despise and / love. She sounded just different, and then she got irritated, and that sound that we're used to, where it kind of gets a little more in her, like that, came out, and I was like, oh, there's Chloe. Wait, is that the same? That's really weird. I don't know what happened there. It was off-putting to me. I was like, wait a minute. No, that is Chloe's. Huh? It was just weird. I don't know. It just sounded different till it didn't. It was my note. I mentioned in my notes, I just started writing notes, but Alia's kind of mean to Marinette at first, like in a friendly way. It was a little like, okay, that was kind of mean, but all right. Like, Alia and Marinette have this friendship that, like, Alia can be like, girl, you gotta whatever, and be like very matter of fact with her. I mean, gun barrel. I'm recording something. Sorry, my dog. But anyways, so it can be very like matter of fact and like, oh, it can sound pushy, but like we know that they're friends. Alia and Marinette just met, and Alia's already kind of being a little mean. I don't know. It was a little strange, but whatever. It was fine. So in this version of the story, the Miraculous wasn't found by Gabriel. It was given to him, basically. Like, he may have still found it, but he didn't find it in the same way. They didn't go on a, ancient whatever and find it. Somebody just basically handed to him, and then he sees like all this disaster that it's capable of in the Miraculous, which is probably, in fact it is, what keeps him off of using it for so long. We don't really, I don't think, have a real reason of why he stays off of the Miraculous in the show as long as he does, because I believe, if I'm not crazy, it's been a while since I watched the original origin story, probably should have done that. He waits still about a year before he starts using it, same time frame, so could be wrong about that. Marinella? Why is Chloe calling her Marinella? Did Jeremy just like want a different name for Marinette or something? It was really weird. It made zero sense. I was like, okay. Chloe already has the whole Marinette Dupanchang thing, and I feel like they should have just kept with that, because Marinella doesn't make sense. Like, I get if they were like, oh, it's like Cinderella. Okay, well, Cinder was the insult in that name, not Ella. Ella was the actual name, so that didn't make sense. Okay, it really didn't make sense. Marinette's falling for Adrian in this movie made way more sense, though, than the show. I love, y'all know, I love Marinette and Adrian together. That was my favorite ship for the longest time, until they started moving things around and making it nuts. just because, like, it's so cute, and I just loved it. Well, I have to admit, looking back, Marinette does fall in love with Adrian in the umbrella scene rather quickly. She goes from hating him and disliking him to being in love with him and unable to function around him in a matter of 2 seconds. And that is a little bit odd. Like, yeah, I know he's cute, he's nice. She doesn't know that. Like, she believes him and forgives him, okay. But, like, in this version of the falling in love for Marinette's side of things, it makes more sense to me. Because he doesn't do anything wrong to her. She never dislikes him. He shows her, you know, he helps her out, and something that she doesn't get a lot of, you know, help and care. So it makes sense. And you know, she didn't immediately be like, ah, you know, she eventually fell for him. And they had, like, nice conversations and stuff we see through the cut back and forth between between all the time skip, basically. And we see, you know, him tell her about his mom, which is not something he seems to want to tell everybody about, you know. So there's more of a relationship that's built, I think, in this movie. Gabriel should never have had long hair. Never should have. Nope. It looks awful. I'm sorry if you liked it. I hated it. It was so... no. That bit with the stage, Adrian's mom, that whole thing makes me cry every time because I just lost my dad last year now. It's been a year. I can't believe it's been a year. So, of course, that, and of course, you know, at the end, the Emily being there and hugging them too, that whole thing. I'm gonna cry. So that's not nice for me. But it's such a sweet moment. It really is. So Gabriel, again, uses the Miraculous on his mom's birthday. I noticed we never see Waze, but Master Food does wear the Turtle Miraculous still. So I don't know what that's about. Why we never see Waze, if they just didn't want to put him in the movie, or they just didn't feel like he was needed, or whatever. That's fine. I found it odd. Marinette gets hit by a car. That was interesting. And it's kind of funny to me that she saved Fu the exact same way that she saves him in the show. It's just kind of funny to me. I liked that Sabrina was still a homie to Marinette. Okay, next page. So yeah, I want to know how Plag decided where to go, because Plag just shows up at Adrian's. There's no connection between Adrian and Plag other than Plag just showing up. We get nothing about the relationship between Plag and Adrian, pretty much, and in the movie, except for that they made Plag horrible. I'll get into that in a little bit, but ugh. Anyway, but why did Plag end up at? How did Plag end up at Adrian's? It was just we need Adrian to get it. Bloop. Okay, he has it now. Like it was odd, I have to say. I feel like they could have done something with that, but they just didn't. I found it odd that Fu has a statue of himself. That was a little weird, but you know, whatever. Kwamis can force transformation in this. Okay. Who would have thought? So that was an interesting thing. I mean, I'm sure I know for a fact, everybody was cheering in theaters, you know, in France and Germany and everywhere else that got it, when Tiki forces Marinette to become Ladybug, and she's sitting there and she screams at herself, and as soon as everybody, you know, saw Marinette transformed, everybody's like, woo, because it's exciting. America, why couldn't we have that too? Anyways, but that's an interesting little thing. I wonder Kwamis in this world seem to have way more power, and Tiki actually calls herself a genie, but she didn't grant wishes. And that's interesting. I wonder if there's a slight difference in the way that Kwamis are, because it's clear from Hawkmoth and Nuru's what we've seen. Nuru still doesn't really have much of a choice, but Hawkmoth can't really silence him either the same way, as far as we know. So I just wonder, like, how much of that there is. And speaking of, I mean, the whole thing with the powers, the yo-yo magic is totally different because it's magic now. I mean, it was always magic, but you know what I mean. Like, it's almost got a conscious to it, almost. It seems to be attracted to Cat Noir, the Miraculous of Destruction, because that's where it seems to want to go. The only time I think that it doesn't go there is when she's just in control of it. But when she's trying to find him or whatever, it usually leads her over. And also, Cat Noir had a very sparkly mask. I didn't notice it when I watched it the first time, but watching it the second time, I was just like, oh, whoa. His mask is very glittery, and I tried to see it on hers, but she wasn't glittery. It was just his mask. I was like, all right, Adrian, say no more. The Akuma release was different. Not incredibly different. It still had the same general way of doing things. From her having to catch it, but the Akuma that was darkened didn't go and make more. There were, multiple at once. We saw with Hawkmoth making the head again. And in general, as long as the villains got hit hard enough, dictated if they released their Akuma or not, rather than an object being destroyed. Which that was a little interesting too. I'm not really sure about that one. That was strange. Like, the guy turning into a gargoyle, he gets hit. I don't know. It was odd. It was an odd move to go, because that implies that people are getting hurt, actually, when they're being akumatized. And that was something that I actually saw parental comments about, was that it was too violent. And I will say that this movie was more violent than the original show, I feel like, because people were actually getting hurt. And I'm pretty sure at the end of the movie there was a lot of people that probably died, whether they were brought back or not. I don't know, the whole thing, that whole part was a little bit weird when it came to de-akumatizing a villain. Why Careless Whisper? I have no idea. That was it. When I saw it the first time, I genuinely thought, like, gun barrel. Sorry. I genuinely thought, like, somebody had, like, maybe put something over it or something, the way that I was watching it. But that didn't seem to be the case. I mean, I don't know. It felt like somebody layered it over when they were, like, copy pasting the movie or something. It didn't feel like it fit. I don't know. It was odd. It was an odd little thing. I feel like they could have not done that. I feel like he should have put in, like, the original show's Marinette and Adrian dance and, like, the love song. But, okay. Careless Whisper, I guess. It's a little more implying of something else, I feel like, at this point. But, okay. Going back to Plague here, he's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I am going, by the way, in order of the movie. He was disgusting. I don't have any words for it. Why did they have to make him so gross and so uncaring? Like, Plague originally, yeah, he's kind of gross, and we get it. He smells like cheese, whatever. But, like, all the... Ugh. Like, why? That was too much. That was too much. I'm sorry. I felt like that was too much. I'm sure the guys loved it, and all the boys were like, ha ha ha, I have little brothers. I know they would have loved that. But, no, I don't think so. I feel like that was just too much. Gabriel's immediately falling apart after his first use of the Miraculous, which makes me wonder if that Miraculous takes a toll on its owner. Because when we come back to him, we see he's on the ground. He struggles to get up. Like, it's strange, and I do wonder, like, what caused that to happen. Because we don't see him using it. We see him use it, but we don't see him during or right after. We just see that. So it's a wonder of, like, okay, so did he fall apart because of the Miraculous or because he's just depressed? I have no idea. Okay, I didn't write this one down. Keith Silverstein, who plays Hawkmoth and Gabriel. Whew, he can sing! I have to say, I wasn't expecting the amount of singing. I was so happy for it because I love songs and doing music and stuff. So, but man, he hit that high note at the end. Whoa! I was like, I knew that the high note was coming, but I was like, you know, kind of prepping for it. I was like, oh, are they going to switch him out at the last second? Oh, but no, he sounded so good. I was impressed. I didn't write that down, but I just had to say that. But during that song, Nuru comes out while he's transformed. And that was interesting to me too, because that's again another point to what exactly can and can't these Kwamis do. I don't think Tiki came out at the end while Marinette was transformed. I think she was just out while Marinette was fine. While she was Marinette. But the fact that Nuru was able to do it, I don't know if it was just for the sake of the music video or if it was a genuine, like, oh, this is a possible thing that they're able to do. I have no idea. And then, again, that leads to the question, what can't they do? I've mentioned the back and forth between, I really love the cut back and forth. Every time they did it, it just cracked me up. Every time it was like, you know, just, oh, they're talking about this, well, so are they. Oh, they're doing this, and now they're doing this. And it was just the different ways that they cut back and forth between characters and stuff. Yeah, Adrian, like I mentioned before, Adrian talked to Marinette about his mom. Cat Noir also mentions to Ladybug about his mom. And Marinette still sees no connection. It's just one of those things. I loved their little play fight where they're like, pew, pew, pew. And then he corners her. He's like, and she's like, and then she's like, I have to go home. He's like, no. And she goes. But it was so cute. I was like, oh my god. The Miraculous can call each other, apparently. That's interesting. I feel like that's something that is super important and would have been a huge use in the show. That the Miraculous, are able to locate and call each other when they need something. And I think that has to do with the yo-yo as well, is that they're able to find each other when they need to. Gabriel was genuinely disheveled and concerned about Adrian being missing from his room or whatever, and Adrian actually stood up for himself and argued back, which this is the difference to me. This is the real difference between the show and the movie. In the show, Adrian doesn't talk back. Adrian does what he's told, even if it hurts his, poor little heart. Gabriel rarely shows any sign of caring for his son, and even when he does, he kind of takes that away as well at the same time, because he'll be like, oh yes, my son, I care about you should be able to talk to me about anything. And meanwhile he's staring at the Cat Noir ring, wondering if it's the Cat Noir ring. Like he only gets close to his son in an attempt to win his wife back. And in the movie, that's not what he does. He doesn't get close to his son. He's depressed. He doesn't want to even think about anything that reminds him of Emily until he realizes he's losing his son. because his son's out late or whatever. And instead of ordering him to obey, this Gabriel is just sad. And I feel like that's what makes the difference between this movie and the show, really, because, I mean, there's no chance of a Chat Blanc moment happening, with this kind of a Gabriel. Okay, so Adrian stands up for himself. Okay, this kind of ties into what I was talking about. Gabriel decides that he is just done. He's just gonna die, basically. He's like, forget it. I'm using the miraculous to destroy everything because I have nothing left. He is so filled with hate, and it's mainly hate for himself and his situation, that he uses that hate as his power for his final act as a villain. That right there shows you just how much he is just done with how powerful he was. Because every single villain he's made has had some kind of negative emotion, and that kind of helped determine their strength, was how negative it was. And the amount of strength of negative emotion that Gabriel had for himself really was so powerful that he could have easily won. Except this Gabriel cares about his son almost as much as he cares about his wife. So when he saw that Cat Noir was Adrian, he remembered love. And that's kind of what he says at the end too. He remembered love when he saw Adrian, and he remembered that Adrian still exists. Adrian's still here. And that's something the show Gabriel could never do for some reason or another. And that right there is what won the day. Love. I was very, very annoyed that they never used Lucky Charm. They used Cataclysm once, failingly. Almost kills Cat Noir, for Pete's sake. And yet, somehow, Marinette still uses the miraculous ladybugs to fix everything. I don't know. That whole thing was weird. I was like, okay, so do they not actually have the powers? I thought throughout the movie. And then Cat Noir used Cataclysm, and I'm like, so they do have the powers? Did Tiki and Plague not fill in Marinette about how to use her powers? I don't know. I just found it odd. I mean, maybe they used it during the time we didn't see the time lapse, and we just didn't see it, but like, that's one of the big things. I would have thought they'd have used it at least once, but okay, whatever. Another thing that was a little odd, so Hawkmoth took Marinette's miraculous away from her. She detransformed in front of everybody. She was detransformed. And yet, no one saw her? Like, maybe Gabriel saw her, but he didn't seem to care about her. He just kind of threw her off, and she faced the other direction when she landed. And then when she jumped to save Cat Noir, she was also, again, facing the other direction. But, like, there's only so many, dark-haired, pigtail-wearing girls out there. So, I don't know. I feel like if they do make a sequel, they're going to have to do something about that. Because, I mean, it made sense for nobody else to see them. And Adrian was not in a mode to be able to know who she was. Of course, now, of course he knows. But, I don't know. I feel like Gabriel would know. When he detransformed, though, Gabriel, the miraculous just disappeared. I don't know if Tiki somehow got it from him or what in the world that was about, but yeah, that was odd to me because he detransformed Tiki somehow found her way back to Marinette, and so did the butterfly Miraculous. There was no real explanation for that. I mean, I guess it had to be that Tiki brought Newbert back over to Marinette, but I don't know. We never saw Marinette pick it up. We never saw anything. Marinette had it all of a sudden. So, I don't know about that. But, let's see. So, Fu does have the butterfly Miraculous now. The only Miraculous he doesn't have still is the peacock, which we'll talk about in a minute. So, Marinette waited till winter, assuming they were in, like, fall because, school time. She waited till winter came and the ball to tell him that she was Ladybug. Why did she wait that long? I found that a little weird. Like, maybe she was waiting for things to settle down or something, but I found it weird that she waited that long to, like, tell him. And she didn't even ask Adrian again or anything. She let it sit for months until she was like, okay, now I'll tell you guys. Guess what? I'm Ladybug. Which I loved the reveal in this. She was so adorable and he was crying. And they cut it right before the kiss shot. Why would they do that? That was annoying. I was so mad. I was like, no! And then, of course, they had their after credits deal. Emily, Gabriel told Natalie and said, keep the secret between us, because he didn't want to keep it by himself anymore. Emily has the Peacock Miraculous. Fill in the blank there. Does that mean that Adrian is still a Cinemonster? I still can't tell if he is in the show or not. They're pointing to it, but they're also not at the same time, and I just don't know anymore. And, yeah, I don't know how Emily got the Peacock Miraculous, because Gabriel didn't find the butterfly with the peacock that we know of. Maybe he did. I don't know. It's all very confusing. Very much so. But, unless they make a sequel, we may never have those questions answered. But I want to say to the people that will never see this, like Jeremy, Zach, Christina V, Bryce, all these people that worked on the show, on the movie, rather, congratulations! This was a great movie. The animation was spot on. The music was amazing. There was that one thing about Lou, but again, I mean, her voice is awesome, and I won't ever say that it wasn't. It didn't make sense for Marinette to go back and forth between Christina and Lou. But aside from that, music was awesome, and all the praise. We've been waiting for years, and it was well worth the wait. Yeah, I will see you guys when the next season of Miraculous comes out, I guess. Whenever that will be. All right, everybody, I guess we'll spots off and see you then. Found it.